Our organization is designed to be built on the backs of volunteers and supporters. That means people. If we don't have people, we don't have homes to build, we don't have someone to build a home for, and we don't have a purpose.
Yeah, my favorite part was working with the people and get together with them and come up with new ideas, because Habitat for Humanity was quite new at that time. So we had pretty much free reign, what we could do, could not do. We did things that other people, other affiliates did not do. In fact, we were part of the first affiliate in the state of Washington, Spokane and Seattle, and we were in competition with Spokane. We compared how many houses, and that was kind of fun.
One of the first things our church did was in 1991, we did a church build of an entire house. We funded it, we built it, we took the family in, and we actually had committees that took care of things like neighborhood, environmental issues. We had a family committee that took care of some of the family's needs and answered their questions. We had a buildings committee, we had a prayer committee, an outreach committee, and we had 153 people from what was then Westminster that participated in that house build, and we did every bit of it from beginning to end. And so from that, a lot of people remain with Habitat, and until this day still work with Habitat.
Well, I think there's probably no question that probably the best thing that happened over a really short period of time, all of the digging and hunting, looking for a suitable large-scale location for the store after it had been in operation for about 4 years. Everything suddenly kind of came together in the space of about a month. The property that was suitable and was available, the building, which is a story in itself, and eventually the financing and the means to do that. That was really a God thing. It just all fell into place just when it needed to.
We obtained a building from Uro Group, which is essentially the urologists, and they donated a 22,000 square foot building that is now our current restore. So my engineering background, I was president at the time, but we accepted that donation. Mike Bueller, who had also been president, him and his wife acquired property and helped donate that to Habitat. So we went from a garage that was our restore out on 26th Avenue and repurposed the building, moved it from 24th Avenue down to its current location, and that became our new restore.
During my first several years, I think the peak was probably, there was a piece of land right up at 16th. It was on the corner of Grant and 16th. I'd lived close by there. There was a dilapidated house, and I was able to hunt down the homeowner, or the landowner really. There's nobody living there. And we were able to, in partnership with the city, convinced Archie to buy the property and tear down the house. And that whole project. We went from a really ugly property to 4 great properties with great homeowners. And to this day, it's still a beautiful place. And I remember driving past it regularly going, that just looks horrible, to then driving past it and seeing great families in great property in a great location. It was just, honestly, it's a project I'm the most proud of, because it was the first one that I really saw from start to finish. It's funny, we had some amazing times, but things don't always go as planned. And I would tell the board, we're going so fast and there's so many details. It's just a matter of time before something goes wrong, and sure enough, it did. About a year later, so I think I was 4 years in, we started this project with Yakima County. And it was a 7-house project. They were bringing in I think it was $80,000 a house. So back then it was about $120 to build, which I know sounds fantastic now, but so $80,000 of property, and then I was going to leverage it with $40,000 through Yakima Fed. It's kind of wonky stuff, but it was how we made the projects work. So we're waiting in a bought property. We're like 6 months into the project. I haven't yet to see any reimbursements from the county, but I've spent a couple $100,000. And in home building, you burn cash. It's the way it goes. And we're still nailing down some details, but the county finally comes back to me and says, we can't use the Yuck Fed money. And I mean, you're talking near $250,000, and I am freaking out because we've waded into this. We're fully committed, and they just undercut a third of these 7 houses, and I don't know what to do. I'm losing sleep. I am really, really scared. I'm praying, oh God, oh God, oh God. And Ben Soria was on our board, and Ben and I went to meet with the county, and I'm going in thinking this may be the end of my career, and I may be the guy who killed Yakima Valley Partners Habitat for Humanity. And I'm thinking about how to shrink us and how to bow out as gracefully as possible. And the county comes to us and says, well, how about this? We don't feel comfortable using the Yuck Fed, even though it's totally legal and the city does it all the time. We're not okay with that. So we're gonna bring an extra $240,000 to the table and take care of it that way. And I was floored. It was like, who has an extra $250,000? And they did. I felt like God had just delivered me from the lion's den. I've been saved.
Nothing ever goes as our plan. So I like to say that we do our best to plan and prepare for what we know should happen, and then also expect for God to show up and change our plans. It happens almost every build that something changes, whether it's a timeline, a lender, it could be something as simple as the layout of the house has to change after we've done permitting. Like they're just, for whatever reason, it seems like something always comes up, no matter the best laid plans, right? And so we work really hard to be in a place where we're able to roll with the changes and the adjustments that are necessary. Some examples of where things have been a little bit bigger that we've had to overcome. We had a homeowner that had some financial decisions she had to make while she was in the program. So she started the program, was in for about 6 months, and was faced with some family decisions financially and made some decisions that spent money effectively. And then as we got closer to closing, she had taken a loan to offset some of those costs, and it put her out of our debt to income ratio for her mortgage.
Whenever there's unclaimed debt, it does affect your debt to income ratio and your eligibility for our program. There was a homeowner who did get a bump in the road during the loan application process. There was a loan that was attained without letting Habitat know. And the reason why is because they were trying to come up with closing costs. When the bank learned that there was a debt that was not disclosed on the application, we were not able to proceed with the application because her debt to income ratio exceeded it. So with that extra monthly payment for that loan, it put her over.
And so we had to ask her to step down from the house she was literally 3 days from walking into, and hold until she could get her finances organized so she could actually be eligible for a mortgage. And that conversation was very tough to have because this was a great partner of ours. She has been very supportive of our organization. She has communicated with everybody she works with, everybody she knows. She's brought in a ton of volunteers, but she wasn't really financially ready. And it's our obligation that when we get people into our homes that they're really ready and that they're going to be good homeowners and that they're going to be able to sustain their home. And so we felt it was important to pause for her. And so she did, and she was very gracious, and she helped transition the next homeowner into the house that she had built for herself. But less than a year later, she moved into her very own second home with us and is doing very well. So things happen for a reason, and she even had told us after the very emotional initial notice of that happening, she came to me and said, you know, thank you so much, because I really wasn't ready, and I wanted to be, but I just wasn't. And so that was a great learning experience for her, and it just reinforced that partnership is really important, especially with our homeowners, and recognizing that our obligation isn't just to get them to the home. We need to get them to where they're able to actually sustain that home and that life of being a homeowner, because homeownership is entirely different than renting. And not most of the time our participants are coming to us, some of them with very little rental history even. So dropping them into a home where they are now responsible for maintenance and property taxes and irrigation and all of those things can be really challenging. And so we work really hard to train and prepare for that, and be prepared for sometimes the bumps in the road that come along with that training.